that was the most nerve-wracking for me is when I took over the numbers business. That business right there. I mean, I used to have like a $300,000 bankroll. I used to be partners with so there was this guy in my area, Dickie. It's where he ended up he was the number guy. Back in the day, A.B. Sacos and Louis Santos were the main number guys in our area. There's steakhouses named after them, Abe and Louis Steakhouse. Those were big number guys.
Boss is my favorite.
Right. So those were number guys back in the day. Dickie used to work for them. So Dickie took over the numbers business. He was running it for the wise guys in our area, back in the 60s, 70s, growing up like that. Anyways, when I took over, I put together this number business, and Dickie, we had a $300,000 bankroll. Dickie ended up getting out of it. He wanted to sell the marijuana. He was my big guy that would go to Mexico and bring 500 to 1,000 pounds of marijuana. He'd go right to Juarez with 300,000 wrapped around him, deal with the Mexican cartel. At the time, Juarez, where they were killing everybody there, he would go right into over the border, right into Mexico, and that's how nuts he was. He was the best guy. That's where I ended up, had my stash house. That's where they found a body murdered there, and guns and marijuana. At any given time, we had like $1 million.
Body in your stash house?
Yeah, that was our house that we kept everything. I had at any given time there'd be $1 million worth of marijuana there.
Jesus.
And I had all my guns there. We murdered somebody there. I mean, it was a great place off the road. So the number business was the most nerve-wracking business because you could have a bankroll of 300,000. Now, if you're booking $100 number, you got to know when your edge off is on that. You're 300,000. You could get hit twice back to back, 2 nights in a row, and it's happened, and lose the complete bankroll. So if you're doing 75,000 a week, you're not going to win every single number. So at the end of the week, try to work off 15%. So at the end of the week, let's just say it's 100,000. At the end of the year, you try to make 15% of the 100,000 a week, which is 15,000 a week. It's like $750 a year, and that's what you pretty much try to make yearly. That's how it all goes by percentages, just like the casino. Yeah. But the fucking number business, I used to tell them, I used to be cooking at night or going out to dinner, or I'd be with beautiful woman, or I'd be with a bunch of people, and we would have a bankroll that was up. And I would, if we got hit bad, I would say, beat me. Back then it was beepers. Beat me with all ones to know that I had to go move money around. Like if we got hit with all ones, beat me with all ones, and then tell me how much I got to bring you over, out of the bankroll that we got. And so it got to the point where because the number would come out at 10:30. I switched it all around, so we were using the state lottery, so you could actually see it. People like that. People would see the balls popping up, and they like all that, right? But it got so nerve-wracking because I'd be having a good time with a girl or with out, and all of a sudden I get a beep and I look and it's all ones with like 87,000 after it. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, it's like it ruined my night. It's like
you know what it is.
Anybody's night.
Anthony, this. The numbers business, the true numbers business that you were doing, you're probably one of the last few to do it aside from the Cubans, was probably the highest margin, but it was also the most capital intensive. You need a lot of money sitting around, as you said, just in case, and you got to move it around. Yeah, that is, and it's not legal. Can't run to the bank and do an ACH. You probably had to go to different houses to move shit around.
Well, you got people. Yeah, it's like I had partners in that, and then you need people holding the money. But it's all about how much do you want to hold. So when I took over the business, we were given like close to 10,000 a week to the state as edge off. So that's just like giving away 10. That's like $500,000 a year that you're just giving away, right? So what I did was I created my own edge off. So I created the actual book, and then I said, okay,
the actual real numbers.
Yeah, these are real numbers that you see getting drawn. Yeah, this is like if you go to the store and you bet the you want your 1, 2, 3 straight. Yeah, if you want, we pay you and you bet with us, and tax free.
Yeah. Well, so again, you and I speak, and I've interviewed a few times. I have you at about 5 to 7 different revenue streams, and between all this and partnerships and everything else, you had to been netting well over 6 figures a month at that point, correct?
Tom, it's like so hard to compute how much I was making. All I could say is this. I could say is this, right? Is I could just give example. Okay, if I had a good week in sports gambling, right, and I had a good week in my numbers, and I sold like in one day alone. I've told this story before. I made $470,000 in one day of marijuana. So let's just say I had. I mean, if I had good weeks in sports in my my Shylock I collected legitimate bit, you're talking $1 million in 1 week. I mean, if you had good weeks, I'm saying if you had a good weeks in the sports business and in your numbers business. And when I went to prison in 2005, I had an orchestra. I knew I was going for 3 years. I had 3 to 3.5 with the feds, and I had, a state, and I had 29 months with